So the reason I don't believe the TikTok ban has absolutely nothing to do with security is because of when Trump was in office, he blacklisted 7 Chinese. Well, actually, there was 28, but main ones. This is so confusing. Okay, and I've told this story a million times, so I'm just tired of telling it. But it is so confusing. This is why I don't like filters. Yeah, they're too creepy. Just a side note there. So it goes back to this, 2019, okay? So to give a background, so Amazon, Apple, and Google, this was also in 2019 or 20, are distributing products from companies building China's surveillance state, okay? Amazon came under fire for this, okay? And so the reason I'm saying this is because I worked at Northwestern in 2020, and they, because of COVID, decided to put in the week of lockdowns, like they knew it was coming, DUA thermal cameras. DUA is one of the blacklisted. But see, it gets confusing because, well, the hospital is considered, I guess, the private sector. So it's okay for them to put national security at risk. That's just the government can't do it. Like, that makes no sense. Really, it doesn't make any sense. So when they put these cameras in, I knew something was up with them. I knew, so I took pictures of the back of them, and I traced the serial number back to DUA, which is one of the companies Trump blacklisted. So I spent all the summer of 2020 contacting the FBI, contacting every single news agency in America, like every one of them, contacting the White House, contacting everybody and anybody, Bill Barr, the Department of Justice. Nobody got back to me. Okay, and so maybe it's because I guess private companies are allowed to put our national security at risk as long as the government's not doing it. Is that what I'm to understand? So just to give a little background to this, because it's all sketchy. So, and this is what, like, they use this excuse, we have to keep our employees safe, so we got to take your temperature. But at Northwestern, they locked every entrance. We all had to come in the ambulance bay, so the cameras would pick us up. It was a little over the top, okay, even if we're in a pandemic. And I've never yet been at another hospital that has put those in. But Northwestern did at every one of their locations. And then before they opened the hospitals back up to visitors, they put them all in their main lobbies. Those were also DUA cameras. So, and this is what they're all about. They used COVID, put them in throughout the world. Amazon Inc. has bought cameras to take temperatures of workers during the coronavirus pandemic from a firm the United States blacklisted over allegations that helped China detain and monitor the Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities. 3 people familiar with the matter told Reuters. China's DUA technology shipped 1,500 cameras to Amazon this month in a deal valued close to $10 million. One of the people said at least 500 systems from DUA, the blacklisted firm, are for Amazon's use in the United States. Yeah, I'm sure the rest of them were used for Northwestern because they put enough of them in. The Amazon procurement, which has not been previously reported, is legal because the rules control the U.S. government contract awards and exports to blacklisted firms, but they do not stop sales to the private sector. So how does that make any sense? Please tell me, somebody in America, somebody in the government, please explain to me how it is you keep Americans safe if you say, yeah, well, we can't do it in the government, but the private sector can do it. That's the reason you guys build these partnerships with the private sector, because then you get them to do the surveillance bullshit of the American people. This is why the Silicon Valley and Pentagon relationship is no good. However, the United States considers that transactions of any nature with listed entities carry a red flag. Okay, right there, carry a red flag. Again, any transactions of any nature with the blacklisted entities carry a red flag and recommends that the U.S. companies proceed with caution. Like, if the the government says we can't do this, then why are you letting the private sector? And then they'll say, because the private sector is allowed freedom. Okay, freedom to monitor their citizens to the point of risking and all this facial recognition, because that's the danger with the DUA software. But this was March 2020. Yeah, Chinese surveillance giants blacklisted by Trump administration are set to appear at a major U.S. security trade show. Further about this, the blacklisting and the deal. The deal comes as the U.S. Food and Drug Administration warned of a shortage of temperature reading devices and said it wouldn't halt certain pandemic uses of thermal cameras that lack the agency's regulatory approval. Top U.S.-based maker Flare Systems, Inc. has faced an up to weeks-long order backlog, forcing it to prioritize products for hospitals and other critical facilities. So see, in my opinion, this was all used, they used, just as Ben Franklin said himself, they will use safety and security to take liberties away. Nobody should be surveillancing or getting facial recognition. I don't care what private sector employer you are. Northwestern should be made to take those out of their hospitals. Maybe they took them out, but I doubt it. They're like the government. They do whatever the hell they want. Amazon declined to confirm its purchase from DUA, but said its hardware complied with national, state, and local law, and its temperature checks were to support the health and safety of our employees. Of course, that's always the excuse they use. The company added it was implementing thermal imagers from multiple manufacturers, which it declined to name. These vendors included infrared cameras, which Reuters previously reported, and Flare, according to employees at Amazon-owned Whole Foods who saw the deployment, and they declined to comment on its customers. DUA, one of the biggest surveillance camera manufacturers globally, said it does not discuss customer engagements and it adheres to applicable laws. Oh, okay, so I'm going to trust that. DUA is committed to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, though technology that detects abnormal elevated skin temperature with high accuracy, said in its statement. The U.S. Department of Commerce, which maintains the blacklist, declined to comment. So that's not helpful, right? It's just not helpful. So you're not really saying. The FDA said it would use discretion when enforcing regulations during public health crises. No, they used this public health crisis to literally take America into this surveillance state. DUA's thermal cameras have been used in hospitals, airports, train stations, government offices, and factories during the pandemic. International Business Machines Corp. Placed an order for 100 units, and the automaker Chrysler placed an order for 10. One of the sources said, in addition to selling thermal technology, DUA makes white label security cameras resold under dozens of other brands, such as Honeywell, according to research. The Trump administration added DUA and 7 other tech firms last year to the blacklist for acting against U.S. foreign policy interests, saying they were implicated in China's campaign of repression of mass detention and high technological surveillance against the Uyghurs and other members of the Muslim minority groups. More than 1 million people have been sent to camps in Xinjiang region as a part of China's campaign to root out terrorism, the United Nations has estimated. DUA has said the U.S.'s decision lacks factual basis. Beijing has denied mistreatment of the minorities, the Muslim minorities, and urged the United States to remove the company from the blacklist. So do you see, this is why I don't trust this bullshit that the government says, oh, they need to divest. Look, if you cared about the national security interests of the American people, TikTok is not what you should be focused on. But that's all you people in Washington have been focused on, while the private sector, because they have so much money and because most of you government people are aligned with them, have put in these facial recognition cameras everywhere, and they were blacklisted. So I don't believe any of their bullshit.